we're very secretive about our medical history.
That's so true.
I served on the national board of the NAACP, and as soon as I found out that I had prostate cancer, at the first board meeting, I announced it to all 64 board members who were there. Mm-hmm. And after the meeting, no less than 6 of those brothers sitting around the table came up to me in a private manner, and they either were going through the treatment or had had the treatment but had never mentioned it to anyone. We've got to talk to our brothers because there is a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of fear, and a lot of mistrust in the black community about this. When you go to a doctor and if you don't understand, make your doctor explain it to you.
Correct.
I insist that my doctor, and I got several doctors, he said, give me a copy of every test they run on me. If Lacey Steele dies tomorrow, you can go to my office at home and find out why he died, because it's in my book and my medical records.
I think that every person should try to have a doctor in his or her life, because sooner or later you're going to need one, believe me. Now, the body can heal itself in a lot of ways on its own, but if there's a doctor that's helping, it heals better.
Sounds like that everybody here has the means to even go see a doctor. There's a lot of us out there, and I've just recently gotten my health insurance reinstated, but there's a lot of us out there that don't have the means or can even get to a doctor, let alone take an exam. What I found here in Washington State was an insurance called Washington State Basic Health, and basically it's based on the amount of money that you make per capita. So it was interesting because I only ended up paying say $17 a month, as opposed to what I thought I was going to have to invest in insurance, which was something like $200 and some odd a month. And you know, that's pretty much full coverage. You know, the only thing you have to do is co-pay up to a certain amount, and then the co-payments. But like I said, just to do the preventative things, I was surprised to find out that all that was free. After this conversation, I'll even go and have a discussion with my own son and say, hey, you know, I had this conversation, I think you should go get checked. You know, he has health insurance. He can go call the doctor and say, hey, I want to have a checkup.
Well, I think the older guys, us older guys, can set an example for the younger guys, too, because they're going to be us 10, 20 years down the line, and, you know, as
case 40.
40.
Well, I guess the point I'm trying to make is that we should start talking to our sons now.
We need to talk not only to our sons, we need to talk to other young
That's
men
right.
who may not have that father image.
Yeah.
And we need to get into conversations with them about how important health issues are, how important it is to see a doctor. And when they come up with some of those excuses, we need to try to have resources where we can overcome the excuses that they have.
So my advice to get in on the preventive method if you don't have it, and if you do have it, look up some of these guys who have been through it, been through the wars, who can give you some good advice, and go for it.
I get more ladies, because I told them about this prostate, everybody, who come up to me and thank me for giving them the information, because they went back home and insisted that their husbands and their brothers go take the test. And they've done that and found out that they were okay.
My recommendation to any man out there today, if you are actually tested and come up positive for prostate cancer, one, find a support group and talk to, because that's going to give you your best options. That's going to give you a whole network of people that can tell you about what it is to take the next step forward, and what kind of things you need to be thinking about in order to best help yourself.
I think you have to take your own health in your own hands in terms of finding out what the experience level of that physician is, especially if you're diagnosed with prostate cancer, because since there are so many modalities, there's so many options in terms of watchful waiting, in terms of surgery, hormonal therapy. There's some high intensity focused ultrasound treatment. And if your physician is going to perform any one of those modalities on you, you really need to know what their level of experience is. There are some physicians who are extremely well trained, who've been through years of training, urologists, for example, but even urologists in themselves, they have certain levels of training. So whatever procedure that particular physician is going to perform on you, you need to take your health into your own hands and make sure that they have done a number of those procedures, and you need to determine what their experience level is. If you're uncomfortable with that person, the first thing I would say to you is you need to get a second opinion and possibly even a third opinion until you feel you have enough information to really make an informed decision.